Hey there, my name is Patmos and welcome to this video where I'll be giving you 10 beginner tips to start a successful village in Foundation. Tip number 1. Choose the right starting location. And of course it's a quite obvious tip and you can see all these different starting locations on the map, but that's not what I mean. There's a certain amount that you can pick and you can pick any of them. That's not a real problem. And they should all have the basic needs that you got in the beginning of the game, which is food in the form of berries, stone and some trees for wood. But there's a big but. You need to think about what kind of village you want to build and how much of a challenge you want to give yourself. If you start close to the water, you can easily have access to an extra food source in the form of fish, which is quite profitable. If you start on this little island, you have to be prepared to build bridges soon, which require quite a few planks, so it might take some time before you get off this little island. And of course all the other resources like iron ore and marble and quartz you will only find in these big pieces of mountain. The further away you start from those, the harder it'll get. You can see right here that there's even a starting point all the way here, which is nice. It's close to the water, lots of flatlands, quite a few open spaces in the trees, but you can see it's a long way to these stones or these stones. So if you want to get things like iron ore, it'll pose a bigger challenge. You have to grow quite big in order for you to be able to reach those. So pick the right starting point. Some of them will be quite easy, give you access to almost everything. If you start in one of these two, you're close to the water, you have plenty of berries, plenty of stone, plenty of wood, and you're close to these rock piles where you will find iron ore. So these are pretty easy starting points. Some others can be quite tough. Just think about what you want to do and what village you want to build and get going. Tip number 2. Especially in the beginning, only build the number of buildings that you need. So if we just look at this very small little town that I've started to build, we can see we have one lumberjack, one stone cutter, one granary, and we don't need more. And why shouldn't you build more? Well, you can see right here that this building has a maintenance cost of 5 a week, so that's little over one every, or that's little less than one every single day. This one has an upkeep of 10. So buildings will cost you money even if you don't fully use them. We have only one guy working, or two guys working at the lumber camp, but we have to pay the full price. We have one miner in the stone camp and we have to pay the full price. And we don't make that much money in the beginning. So don't go around just building all these buildings that you already can because you think, oh well, I will need them in the future, because they will cost you money, and as soon as you run out of money you have a problem. And especially with all these big special buildings like the church, for instance, we need a church in the end, but you can see that all these core buildings will cost us money. Just placing this one will start a maintenance cost of 39. So yes, you have to build a church, yes, you have to plan it, but start small with just a very small church. You can house 20 people in this one church and they can all go to a church service. Don't start making the biggest church that you can because you don't have the money for it. Only this little building will already cost us 57. We'll have to place a door in there. Now we have a full church that we can build, and once it's done, it'll cost us quite a handful. So only build the things that you need and don't overextend, because you will run out of money and your game will fail. Tip number 3. Build 2 gathering huts with 1 berry bush area. Berries are the main source of food that you have. All your villagers will eat berries, so you need quite a lot of them. And these berry bushes are a great way to make sure that you provide enough food. These berry bushes are doing so great actually that although eventually you will run out of berries and they will have to regrow, which takes only a few seconds, you can have 2 berry bush collectors, or what they're called gathering huts, with 1 berry bush. And if you do that all over town, as I did, so each berry bush 2 gathering huts, you'll make sure that you provide plenty of berries to your town. While I was playing this game, I just recently had a very long period of bad weather, which reduces the berry count by a lot, and still we have plenty of berries just because all berry bushes have 2 huts with them. It can save you a lot of space because you don't have to go around the map finding a lot of berry bushes if you just put 1 gathering hut near them. And this can help you out produce all the food that you need. Tip number 4. Build a granary close to each city center that you have. And make sure that it has all the different sources of food added to it. Now you can see we ran out of a few, but they'll be picked up anyway. In the market there's plenty of everything. What happens is, if a villager working in the market runs out of resources, it will start to collect the resources again. Now if you only build, for instance, a granary near the water, near all your fisheries, then the worker has to walk all that way, go to that granary, pick up the fish, walk all the way back, and then start to sell it. While all the time there's no fish in that marketplace and nobody can buy it, and people will run out of the food. If you build a granary and put all the types of food in there, these 4 transporters will run around picking up all the goods, and these market workers will only have to walk to the granary and then back, and you can sell those resources. So you're less likely to run out of resources, and this will really help you to distribute all sources of food around town. So make sure that at each city center that you have, you build granaries close by with the different types of food that you need, so that they can sell it around town. It will save you a lot of trouble, especially if you get a bigger village and distribution might be an issue. This can really help you out and help you survive and build a thriving town. Tip number 5. Make sure your villagers can live close to their jobs. If you assign a villager a job, for instance, if we get a villager and make it a lumberjack right here, it needs to live close to his work. If it can't build a house close to its work, it won't build a house and it will get unhappy, especially if you start promoting your villagers. The need for a house grows, and if they can't build one close by, they'll get angry and eventually even leave. So make sure that you zone enough areas close to their jobs. And if you start expanding from your main town, I started in this area, we built a pretty big town here, but I started expanding, creating all these new jobs. Just build a new city center, build the houses around it, and make sure that those people can work in the close by areas. They won't build a house and leave if you don't do that. So keep your zoning close to all the jobs. Not too close, of course, because, well, you can see by all the red areas, those are not desirable. People don't want to live there. They want to live in the green areas. But you can see right here, just build a market and get a church and everything a city needs, and just build a whole new town, get the jobs around it, and they can all go work there and live in a house. The closer your house is to work, the shorter the travel time, so the more efficiently they'll work. So that's another reason to keep doing that. Just grow your town towards the jobs and make sure that they can live close to work. Tip number 6. It's all about the tools in the beginning. You can see we have only a very low amount of tools, while we didn't even build that many buildings. And tools are scarce in the beginning, so make sure that you save all the tools that you can. As soon as we go a little bit further, we can make sure that we can trade. All we need is to promote a few villagers, unlock trading, and then we can unlock certain trade routes. You can unlock a trade route by making a certain amount of goods. Now we're going to focus on planks. Then you're going to unlock this trade route, and there you can see that you can buy tools. They cost quite a bit of coins, but it's worth it. Until you can buy coins from this village, only build all the necessary buildings that you really need making these tools. Otherwise don't do it, because it's not worth it. Once you want to start buying something, make sure that you have a warehouse. Place the tools in the warehouse and then just tell them to buy until the inventory reaches a certain value. We're going to set it up to 25 tools, meaning that every time a trader comes by, he will fill our stock upwards until we reach 25 tools. This way we can really start to buy to our own tools, and then we can really get producing. But until then, until you can buy your first tools, go easy on the tools. If you use too many for the wrong buildings, you run out and you have a big problem. Tip number 7. Desirability is an important factor in this game. You can see the desirability of an area once you click the Paint Residential area. The greener an area is, the more desirable it is. And especially villagers of a high tier, like the commoners and the citizens, will want to live in a very high desirable area. Only the newcomers and serfs will want to live in areas that are not so desirable, and nobody will want to live in areas with a very low desirability. Now you can increase the desirability of an area with certain buildings like the church and the Lord Manor. Take that into account when you start to build them. For instance, you can build a lovely Lord Manor right here overlooking the hills and overlooking the water, but you will waste all the desirability that will be generated around it because there's no housing here. So keep those buildings close to your towns or to your town center to increase the desirability and make these very great areas for people to live. And in each new town, make sure that you build those buildings again. Right here I built a very big Lord Manor in between the space into town because I wanted more houses to be here. And as you can see right now, the desirability went very high up, and a lot of people do want to live here. So place your churches, your taverns, your Lord Manor strategically so that you erase the desirability of an area and make sure that people really do want to live there, even the higher tier people. Tip number 8. All your special buildings have functions. So your Lord Manor, whether it's the stone one or the older one, your keep, your church, they all have a certain function. In order to fulfill that function, you'll have to assign them special roles, and you can assign each section of a building a special role. So if we look at this Lord Manor, for instance, you can see that it has a few parts that we built. We built 3 core parts, and you can click that and give it a certain function. If you want to start promoting people, you'll need a great hall. Without a great hall, you can't promote any people. So make this core a great hall. If you want a bigger treasury, you'll start with a treasury of only 500, so you can only save up to 500 coins. If you want a bigger one, assign certain types of building to be a treasury. In your Lord Manor, you can assign a bailiff who will go out and find new resources for you. Even all these small areas can have their own function. All these extensions have a little function. And you can see it expands our treasury capacity by 60. So make sure you assign each new built part a function. If you don't do it, you just waste the space. You can already assign certain functions to a building once a complete structure is done. So when one core is done and the other one is still being built, I can already assign a function to that one core. So you don't have to wait until a building is completely done. Same with the keep. A keep can have different functions. So I've made a few sections into dorms, and we can see that we can house up to 6 soldiers there. For the rest, I've made a treasury out of it so that our treasury gets a lot bigger and we can save a lot more money. Even the little monastery that we have has certain functions to it. We have built a few beekeepers, we've built apiaries, so always make sure that you assign these to what they want. You can see here I have an extension here that I didn't assign anything. We can make it a dorm or a great hall. Let's make it a dorm. We can now house more monks. This is a much overlooked item. Every time something is ready, check it and set it to the right function. So now that we can house more monks in this building, and more monks means we can have a higher production of wine and honey and stuff like that. So make sure you don't overlook it. Even our little tavern has different function. We can set one to be a bar, we can set one to be a service counter, we can have public lounges where people can get in. The more public lounges we have, the more people we can house. So make sure you check those buildings and set the special functions. Tip number 9. Go easy on the promotions. If we check our villagers, you will see that each status of villager, newcomer, serf, commoner and citizen, requires different needs. If we go check a newcomer, in this case Sophie, we can see that a newcomer only needs water and food. So all we need is a marketplace, a well and some food, doesn't really matter which one, and she'll be happy. If we go check a serf, you'll already see that it also needs comfort, a place to live, and service, so it needs to go to a church. If we find ourselves a citizen, you will see that they need water, 2 sources of food, need comfort, needs to go to service, it needs 2 types of goods, common clothes, candles, common wares, and it will need a luxury. So promoting every citizen that you have, or every villager that you have, into commoners or citizens will make sure that you have to provide a lot of stuff to all your villagers. You don't want that. You can see right here that I have many serfs. Not even everybody is a serf. We have commoners and then we have citizens. And you might want to find a balance in your village. So the higher tier you have, the way less people you want to be that tier. Of course, you do want a few citizens because they'll unlock special buildings and stuff, but you don't want too many. Not everyone can have a high tier. So keep it balanced. So I'd like to think sometimes for each citizen I need 2 commoners and at least 4 serfs, or maybe even more. Because that way you get an evenly balanced village that you can provide for everyone. Tip number 10. As soon as you can, build yourself a keep. Don't build one as big as this one if you only have a small town. Just build a very small one with only the bare minimum, but make sure that you add a few of these training dummies. They're right here in the screen. You can easily build the training dummies and your soldiers will use them to train up. If you have a weapon, give them a weapon. You can do that in the soldier screen. Just go to soldier and you can see that you can provide them with a weapon. You'll have 5 swords in the beginning. Once you finish your first keep, give them those swords. Why should you train soldiers? Because soldiers will go out and fight for you. You can send them on military missions. I just sent out a mission and we can see right here, this is a difficult mission, the distance will be far, but we have a chance of getting gold and we have a chance of getting common rewards. And you will get good prices from missions. You can get stuff like tools, you can get planks, you can get good amounts of food, you can get a lot of coins for it. So it's well worth to send out soldiers on missions. But the stronger they are, the better missions they can do and the more loot they'll bring back. So as soon as you get a keep, build a few training dummies, train up your soldiers, and as soon as it says fully trained, send them out on missions. They will also get better skilled, and once they're better skilled you can start promoting them, making them even more strong. So you can see right here I have a knight level 15 which has a strength of 60. I have a soldier level 10, strength 40. I have a novice, so just a fairly new soldier, level 5, only 16. A novice level 1, only strength 10. So make sure you train your soldiers, promote them, so you get the strongest force possible and get yourself some good loots. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it helps you with your gaming foundation and give you a great building experience. And of course I hope to see you in another video. Bye bye!